Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Talking Nog, a yearly tradition honoring a yearly My closet is closed. I'm going back to the intro screen. Farewell, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Talking Nog, a yearly tradition honoring a yearly tradition. I am your holiday host and Nog master, as always, Jeff Stormer, and this is Talking Nog, the world's first and only eggnog enthusiast podcast. We are a look at the past, the present, and the future of everyone's favorite eggy, creamy, meaty, spicy, boozy Yuletide treat. My closet door is closed because you don't need to see what's in my goddamn closet. Get the hell off of my back. Thank you all for joining me on this most wonderful occasion as we gather once again to celebrate. No, I said meaty. I need this chat to understand that I said meaty because it's like egg. It's like a meat, and so it has like a meaty flavor. Don't question me. I'm sorry. Do you want to host your own eggnog podcast? Do you want to be the world's foremost authority on eggnog related matters? I didn't fucking think so. That's the energy that we're bringing to today's joyful occasion. Thank you all for coming. I'm happy to be here with my friends today to celebrate this most wonderful occasion. We're going to share some stories. We're going to answer some listener questions. We're going to look at some listener photos. And we're going to have, I hope, a really good time. We've got some wonderful questions to answer. I'm not at all biding my time because I forgot to queue up my most important sound effect. So everyone, with everything ready, I think it's time to dive right in. So why don't you go ahead, settle in down by the fire, and we'll dive right in. Our first question comes to us from Jacqueline Swampert, who asks a very valid question about when it comes to spicing your eggnog, do you prefer to grind the nutmeg whole or buy it pre-ground? I find that freshly grated whole nutmeg really elevates a nog, and I was wondering what the experts think, or any other spicing opinions also accepted. Now, this is also an opportunity to talk about the eggnog that I am drinking here today. This is a lovely homemade nog made by producer of the show and the love of my life, Jen Frank. And shockingly, this is actually a remarkably simple beverage. I'm actually going to go ahead and pop this up on screen. It really is just egg yolk, sugar, half and half, and bourbon. And surprisingly, I really don't add any spices or anything extra to this. I find that the bourbon flavor really perfectly complements the eggs and cream, and it really adds that nice depth of earthy, spicy flavor that I want, and I feel like it gets me where I need to go oftentimes, which is living the holiday dream. And so for me personally, like, you know, no spice is the correct level of spice. That said, there's no wrong way to enjoy everyone's favorite Yuletide treat. Personally, if I'm going the spice route, then I'm going to recommend, you know, growing your nutmegs from the ground. You know, invest in farming. Become self-sustenant is what I'm trying to say. You know, really, like, the joy that you're going to feel when you grate that eggnog onto your delicious beverage is really unquestionably great. It's going to add to you a pride when you feel the accomplishment that this eggnog, this nutmeg, this isn't just something that I bought, but it also isn't just something that you got from the store. This is something that you made from the ground up. It feels the dream. Jacqueline, thank you so much for a great question. This also ties into a question we've got from Maya about opinions on doctoring store-bought eggnog versus making it from scratch. Again, there's no wrong way to enjoy your eggnog. This here is a lovely handmade batch. And we also have here, I've also enjoyed on this stream before in this podcast many a store-bought eggnog. I'm personally a big fan of the Wawa branded eggnog. I think it is a wonderful taste experience. I think it gets the texture right. I think it gets the taste right. Some of the store-bought eggnogs, however, to your point, are, let's say, a little bit lacking. And I find that they need a little extra love. And in those cases, doctoring eggnog is really a way of taking your own destiny into your own hands and really owning the fact that, like, yes, you have purchased the core components of this in a store, much as you would had you purchased all of the ingredients and made it from scratch. But you've taken the step and you've made this your own. Taking your destiny, your art form, your craft, the things that you enjoy and making them uniquely yours, that is the core of great art. That is the core of great life. That is a core of understanding yourself. And honestly, I think it is one of the most important things that we can do. So to you, I say, doctor the hell out of that eggnog. Doctor the hell out of that carton that you've gotten from the store. Make it the drink that you want. Because honestly, we've only got one ride around on this crazy little ball of dirt that we call Earth. Drink the nog that is going to fill you with the most joy possible. You know what I mean? Maya, that's a great eggnog question. You, my friend, are a certified noghead. Cheers. Magnificent. Our next question comes to us from Matthew R. of Balasek. Matthew writes, "Hi all, excited to hear some nog-noggins talk about the most sacred of drinks. Matthew's been vegan for about 1,000 years now and has never really had eggnog before going vegan. There are a ton of eggnogs on the market, and of the few that they've had, they've enjoyed, but I don't know how they compare. So what are you looking for in a good nog, and are there any eggnogs that are that are comparable to the real deal?" Great question. You, my friend, are a certified noghead, and I'm gonna start off by saying cheers to you. Delightful. As for what I'm looking for in a good nog, there's a few things, and it's a very specific experience that has unfortunately left me cold on a lot of the vegetarian and vegan nog options that I've experienced, at least when it comes to buying them from a store. Because above all else, the thing that I am looking for is, Rob in the chat says meat apparently, and that's not wrong. There's an umami flavor, a savoriness to the flavor profile that kind of runs underneath the sweetness and cuts a little bit of that sugary sweetness that is really it's kind of what I'm looking for. Sure, a lot of it is up here, but I'm looking for that layer of flavor down here as well. There's also a textural component. I like my eggnog thick. I like the experience of drinking it. It's got a body to it. It's got a hearthiness to it. A good eggnog has a hearthy, rich texture. And to me, a lot of the vegetarian and vegan eggnogs that I have experienced, the mouthfeel has been lacking. It tastes watery. It tastes loose. It tastes like you spiced up skim milk or oat milk, and it doesn't have that really pleasing quality to it. And to me, that is a miss. Truthfully, the best vegetarian vegan eggnog that I have experienced really comes from a dear friend of the show, Liz, whose recipe I wish I had on hand, and maybe we could get them to post it in the comments. It used aquafaba to really simulate that sort of richness and the cream the whipped cream you would fold in. It hits really well. And it had that rich, thick quality to it. It had that mouthfeel that was really wonderful. And that to me was the best vegan eggnog I've ever had. In the past I have recommended people check out, I found some recommendations online for pulverized and crushed date syrup, using that as a thickening agent. I think that's a solid approach. But to me, you want something. I think a lot of the vegetarian eggnogs that we experience in, the scene, in the corporate space, in the macro nogging space, a lot of these are solid, but they need that thickening element. You could probably fold in some whipped aquafaba. You could probably fold in some perhaps date syrup or like a thickening agent along that sense. Because I think, to me, and this goes back to Maya's question about doctoring, right? Like what we're doing is we're taking something that we've purchased in the store and we're saying like this is a good start, but we need to build on it. To Mike's point in the chat, we are in fact taking a thick needy nog to be the throat coat goat. Like we need that. We're seeing some wonderful recommendations in the chat about cashew nog being, kind of being made in the blender. We're seeing some really wonderful conversation. The nog community has turned out today, and I'm personally very excited about it. Excuse me, I'm very, very excited about it. And we're seeing some really wonderful discourse. Listen, if you're listening to the podcast later, I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate however you found this extremely weird fucking podcast. And by that, I mean the most important journalistic source of our time. However, Twitch is where it happens. We're live at twitch.tv/GMJeffStormer, December 23rd on twitch.tv. We're here live. The Nog heads are out. The Nog community is chatting and talking and diving in. The discourse is happening. And if you want to know where the future of eggnog conversation is being had, it is right here, my friends. I want you in the chat to recognize something. Can we get some F's in the chat for history being made here tonight? Because these conversations that we're having, we're going to look back on this. We're going to see this in the history books. And we're going to recognize that this is the moment when eggnog history was made live. We are seeing the F's flowing in the chat. We love to see this. I am happy about this. Great questions all around. We've had some wonderful discussions. And now we're going to get into a topic that I'm very excited about. And that I'm kind of extremely excited about because I'm able to answer it in a way that I did not think I was going to be able to when we started this episode. And this is some extreme preparation at work. We're here. I got a message here. I got an email from Daniel. Daniel writes, "Hello, number one eggnog enthusiast podcaster. As someone who is lactose intolerant, I have never been able to try such an amazing drink. However, with the rise of many different dairy-free milks, I want to finally give it a try. First question, what is the best dairy-free milk to make eggnog? I'm seeing a lot of cashew in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of enthusiasm for the cashew. That feels like a very strong one. I believe the aquafaba one is also dairy-free. I don't remember, and I do not want to do the research to look it up. But so we're seeing a lot of endorsements, so, fuck it. We'll say that. That's probably a guess. However, Daniel also writes, what is your opinion on this vegan eggnog, Oat Nog? They provide a link to Black Lion's Drinks Oat Nog. They provided a screenshot. It is a beer labeled as a new tradition, but eggnog, but better. Now, I obviously cannot get a bottle of Black Lion's Oat Nog on such short notice. But what I could get was a bottle of bourbon barrel-aged, who is this, Second District Brewing Company's Oat Nog from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So in the spirit of the question, I think it is only fair to try this drink live on camera and find out if it offers the true eggnog experience. Never doubt my commitment to never doubt my ability to show up when it is needed. I've always got an eggnog trick or two up my sleeves. And namely, by that I mean, I think this has been under my cabinet for maybe a year or two, so I don't know how accurate this flavor profile is going to be. I'm getting a question from the chat. Why does it look like that? I think this is because this is a barrel-aged stout, so it's got that, like, dark body. It's got a little bit of that, like, heaviness to it. It's got a little bit of that flat thing, that flatness. So, like, we're going to give this a try and see how it shakes out. Huh. Uh-huh. The bourbon barrel aging helps a lot. I'm seeing how they're aspiring to eggnog with this. It probably would be better had I had it within the recommended window for when you're supposed to have a beer of this style and not a year or two after that. I recognize that. That part's on me. So I'm being generous with this assessment to kind of give it the idea of like what it would have been like to taste it fresher. And I think it hits. I'm getting a decent amount, like, they've put a lot of vanilla and spice into this to capture that eggnog flavor, which is a thing that I see a lot of eggnog flavored dishes do, and we'll get more into that in a little while. However, that with, like, on its own, I don't know if this would be hitting what I would want out of an eggnog. To be clear, I think on its own, this might leave me a little wanting. But it's the addition of the bourbon barrel aging, and it's the addition of that rich bourbon flavor that I think is really taking this over the top. I think that's the thing. It's the thing that keeps it from being a little bit too much. So my formal assessment would be like, I don't know if it exactly hits my theory, hits like what I'm looking for out of an eggnog, to go back to the previous question. I do think it is a delightful drink that is going to like make me very happy. Daniel, thank you for asking. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to enjoy this delicious beverage. And as they say here, many thanks from the UK, and keep on noggin. Daniel, I'm going to say that right back at you. Keep on noggin, my friend. Oh, that's lovely. I am going to drink water, though, which is a changeover from previous years, when I've realized that I spend about an hour every year talking and imbibing cream, which is not great, and I'm making a change in my life. So here we go. Everybody can watch me drink a little bit of water. Kids, stay hydrated. Don't get old, but also stay hydrated. Whitland teamers, you gotta hydrate. Thank you for the calls to hydration. Can we get some hydrates in the chat? Can we get hydrates in the chat? Can everybody call out? Let me know, everybody, when you've taken a drink of water. Give me a shout out in the chat to let me know that we're all staying hydrated here tonight, because we have a lot of fun, but it's important to take care of ourselves. So give me a shout out when you've taken a sip of water. Give me a shout out in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to go to our next question, and another very exciting taste test, which is also a good opportunity to kind of bring up something crucial that has been kind of in the news lately. It's been a big year for eggnog. Eggnog is really having a moment in the sun. And I want to call something out because, we do this podcast live because I think that it brings the spirit of discourse to life. It also, however, has meant that, the space is thriving in a way that it never has, and a lot of people have beating us to the punch on a lot of things. We had Old Time Recipes put together they did an eggnog pie. That looked delicious. Make It or Buy It did an eggnog episode, I think following the heels of How to Drink, putting together an eggnog. A lot of content creators in the space are really chasing the eggnog dragon at the moment. And, it's exciting to see. As a venerable voice in the space, it is very exciting to see it all live. But, there's a bittersweetness to it, because obviously I don't want to chase their thunder. I don't want to, excuse me as I fiddle with my laptop ever so there we go. Old power supplies, y'all. Am I still streaming? I am still streaming. We're good. All right. I don't want to chase anybody else's thunder. I don't want to do what other people have done. I am obviously a pioneer in the space. I'm a renegade. I have made a history of speaking truth to power in a way that, let's be honest, very few of the other eggnog journalists in the industry have really committed to over the years. But there's a bittersweetness, right? So a big mission point for me this year was to find opportunities to share my love in ways that, some of the other creators in the space haven't gotten to yet, which brings us to what we're about to drink. I have here a letter from Anonymous. Jeff, as an eggnog enthusiast who lacks that spark of adventure, I often have to live vicariously through your reviews of various eggnog preparations. Last year, you reviewed Kellogg's brand Eggonog Sippin' Cream. That's true. I was hoping you would review a breakfast-themed recipe from bacontoday.com with a link provided below. I know this recipe is not a true eggnog, but the thought of sweet eggnog coupled with savory bacon does sound amazing. So we have taken the recipe for bacon-infused eggnog, and we have concocted it here. We have our little bacon garnish. What this ultimately amounts to is a small amount. We have used about a tablespoon of bacon grease mixed into this eggnog. It does stand by the rule of meatiness. That's all correct. Chad is correct in this. We're going to see how this tastes. We're going to see if it maps out, if it does what we want it to do. Taking another sip. No, Taylor, very crucially, a teaspoon of bacon grease, not of tablespoon. If I said tablespoon, I misspoke. We were very conscious about this. Worth noting, that is delicious. I'm not going to lie to you. I was very, very hesitant on this particular beverage. I was very nervous about this one. Here's the thing. Knowing what's coming, this was not the one I was most worried about. You'll know the one I'm most worried about. You will know the one that I was most worried about when I start to make it. You'll know. This, I was modestly worried about. I was a little bit hesitant. I was a little bit worried that it was I was a little bit worried it was a meme, right? I was a little bit worried that it was for the bit. And, you know, I'm seeing some questions in the chat about, like, Boudet, did any of the bacon saltiness come through? That's exactly what was added, was some of that saltiness. And, like, the thing is, y'all, salt is good. I don't want to come in here with hot takes, you know, like I said, I am unafraid to speak to power. The hot take is that salt is good. Salt enhances the flavor, and like that specific kind of smoky saltiness that you get from bacon genuinely did add a lot to the recipe. And I want to shout out bacontoday.com. Great call out with this recipe. Frankly, fantastic. And also, I've got this bacon garnish, so I'm going to take a snack of some bacon real quick. Very crucial update is that the quality transference, the improvements were in fact a one-way street. Bacon flavor added to eggnog? Amazing. Wet eggnog on top of bacon? Not as good. Not as joyful. Not the same quality of joy infused by just eating a wet piece of bacon. Can I get some hydrates in the chat? Because I need to hydrate. That one, not the same, not quite the same experience. All right. Anyway, Anonymous, thank you for the question. You too, my friend, are a certified noghead. I'm going to take a moment now. I'm going to recover. And then we're going to get into our next question. Another question from Jacqueline Swampert. Can there be any compromise found between eggnog and milkshakes? How would one go about creating the perfect marriage of the two? Now, here's where I admit that I fell short as a journalist. This is part of being a trusted voice in the space, is recognizing that when you fall short. And the reality is I had tried to find the time to try this in person. But I will shout out Philadelphia establishment Nifty 50s for creating an eggnog milkshake. I have had eggnog ice cream before, and I feel like you could truly create an experience that is just eggnog with, like, I would probably say a nice vanilla ice cream, or perhaps even if you were to, like, have maybe a spiced ice cream or, like, a cinnamon ice cream, something in that vein might create a quality experience. But I trust Nifty 50s. They are a milkshake-centric establishment. And so, like, to talk a little bit more broadly about it, like, I think that, you know, obviously a great deal of overlap between the two experiences, right? Like, you think about eggnog, you think about the flavor profiles of eggnog. Kev, I see you in the chat. Nifty 50s is still around. There's one in South Philly. You think about the flavor profile of eggnog. You think sweet, you think creamy, you think butter. I guess buttery is the word I don't know. I'm trying out some new adjectives for eggnog here, folks. Let me know in the chat if they're working for you. If these new adjectives, if this exciting new adjective work that we're doing is working, let me know. Let me know if you're feeling it. You think about the flavor profile of eggnog. You think about the consistency of eggnog, that thickness, that throat coat quality that we really talked about earlier, that really good throat coat quality. You know, you hit that vibe. Think about that, like, in a milkshake. Like, that feels milkshake adjacent already. It doesn't feel like you're making a particularly far leap. So, like, you know, you could make that translation pretty easily. I might add, and a lot of things already add vanilla flavor or spiced flavor to eggnog to begin with. So, like, a spiced ice cream would add some of that cream into it. You know, I think you'd get that flavor. I think what you're going to end up with is just, like, that very sort of meaty, buttery milkshake. And frankly, that sounds amazing. I'm excited about this. And, hey, Nifty 50s, I apologize for not making it over there. You set aside an eggnog milkshake for me. I'll be there with bells on. I know they're watching. I know that they pay attention to the eggnog discourse. And most importantly, Jacqueline, once again, you, my friend, are a certified knockhead. Cheers. Great question here from PB, short-time listener, first-time writer. And they ask, hot nog? Now, I tried to look into this. This is obviously not my comfort zone necessarily. This is not my... I don't go here. You know, but I did some research. I did some investigation. Before I answer that question, I do want to call out my sweater. I see a question in the chat. What's your shirt say? Less talking, more noggin. Because we're always here for less talking and more noggin. That's what we're doing here. That's talking nog. But you know, we talk about hot nog, and, like, that's not really, you know, something that I've experienced a lot, but I did do some digging, and I'm excited to show you all. Here it is. From Tommy Siegel on Twitter. Hot nog. Some hot sexy eggnog monster for you all to enjoy. It's a sort of a sentient humanoid egg with udders that is squatting over a bucket of nog. Like I said, it's not my thing, but hot nog. There you go. If you find it hot, that's good, you know? You do you. You live. Here you go. Everybody have a great time. Everybody like that one? I feel great. Thank you for a great question. Cheers. Let's get into our next question, shall we? Another question from Maya. My roommate, who is into eggnog but entry level, asks, why is it named eggnog? We also have another question here. Where is it? We have a question also from Jacqueline Swampert about this topic, about the term eggnog, about how it feels a bit unwieldy and gloopy, heavy on the voiced velar plosives, but a fitting word for the actual tactile experience of drinking it. The etymology is a bit confused. You know, do I support the egg and grog theory, the Middle English noggin theory, or perhaps the Scottish nugged ale theory? Truthfully, I am a proponent of the eggnog multiverse. I think that eggnog, much like crabs, eggnog is a naturally occurring thing. You know, we continue to arrive at eggnog. It is a naturally occurring process that continues to happen across history. And, you know, on some level, I think that we're all going to end up there eventually. I think that it is coming to all of us, you know. I forget the term for how all things trend towards crab, but, like, I think all culinary creations ultimately trend towards eggnog. You know, it is a naturally occurring process, and so I think that the answer is all of those theories are true for the context in which it was created, but I think that there are also hundreds and thousands of possibilities that we are pushing towards. And we are going to continue to see eggnog reappear in new contexts, new culinary contexts throughout history. And I think that that is, you know, a beautiful, wonderful thing. To Taylor's point in the chat, it is simply the most efficient form of life. It is the most efficient form of culinary joy in drink form, and so we are all going to get there eventually. Anyway, I hope that answers the question about the history of the name eggnog and my feelings on it. Follow-up question: if I add eggnog to my scrambled eggs, will they become festive scrambled eggs? Based on my experience adding eggnog to bacon, I wouldn't recommend it, if I'm being honest. It feels like you're gonna get lumpy eggnog. It feels like the eggs, it feels like you've lost a level of... Now, the follow-up question here. If you poured eggnog on a hot pan, does it have enough egg to make an omelet or pancake? You might have to add flour or baking soda. I am not a baker, but yes. Your basic, I mean, I've said before on the podcast, this is basically French toast batter. You could throw a piece of bread in here, throw it on the grill, and have the best French toast you've ever had. It is a breakfast time treat. And actually talking through this makes me feel I want a little breakfasty, so we're going back to the bacon nog, which I did not think I was going to do. That's magnificent. Honestly, magnificent. I wouldn't recommend adding it to scrambled eggs because I don't really feel like it's going to add a lot, but I think it's going to add a tremendous amount to a French toast. You could make a crepe with it. You could make maybe some pancakes. There's a lot of great things you could do with eggnog in that context, in a breakfasty context, that I think is going to elevate your experience. And I say go wild. Thank you for the question. I hope that you and your roommate have a wonderful journey together exploring the world of eggnog. Now, follow-up question here from Anonymous. Anonymous says, I have a cat named Catface, and they've attached a photo of Catface, and let me just, we're gonna look at this photo together. That's great. What a cute cat. That's lovely. They've attached a photo of sort of a red tabby cat, a really cute cat. I have not attached it to OBS, so apologies if you can't see it. I'm just gonna have to do my best to try and explain the photo to you. It's just a beautiful orange cat just lounging on a bed. Truly wonderful experience. Having a joyful day. But back to the question. As you can see from the attached photo, she is appropriately named. However, we received a reminder from our vet for a checkup, and they listed her as Catface. 2 words. We don't call her Cat or Miss Face, so I'm sure no harm was intended, but it got me thinking about eggnog. Is eggnog 1 word or 2? The internet says it's 1 word, but our very own Turkey Hill uses 2. Do I trust random information from the internet, or the people who have first-hand experience? Sincerely, Anonymous. Anonymous, that's a great question. We really do appreciate this. And I want to say, first and foremost, you know, shout out to Catface. Can we get some Catface in the chat? And I also want to shout out, hold on just a second. did the wrong thing real quick. Hey, shout out Catface in the chat. We love to see it. We love the cats of eggnog. You know, people talk about eggnog as a strictly human experience, and you know, while you should limit the amount of cream and eggs that you that you give your cat, I do also want to emphasize. You know, a little bit of a treat is not a bad thing. Now, to your question, I do want to emphasize one thing. Turkey Hill is an attempt, their attempt to name eggnog 2 words is an attempt to goad you into corporatizing the experience of eggnog. Do not trust any corporation that is going to come to you and claim that they own the rights to the experience of eggnog. You, the people at home, the people watching this, the people making nog, the people gutting out there, gathering the ingredients, making it yourself and enjoying it, it is yours. It is yours to enjoy, it is yours to experience, and their attempt to say it's eggnog 2 words, that is because they want to have the copyright on the concept of eggnog. That is what corporations do. They take and they copyright and they attempt to lock down on concepts and imagination and joy and the things that derive pleasure out of our life so they can sell it back to us. They are not to be trusted. They are not your friend. And if you see someone using 2 words for eggnog, that person is a corporate shill and should be treated as such. You have eggnog. You have the reins to your eggnog destiny in your hand. Listener, anonymous, I want you to understand the power that you hold as a person. This act that we share together of making eggnog and sharing this somewhat ridiculous drink, this is for us. A corporation may appear. Corporate entities, capital may appear in our spaces, and that is perhaps in some ways an inevitability given the enthusiasm that we feel, but that is not what we should be embracing. The thing that we should be embracing is the thing that is happening in the chat, is the thing that is happening in your glass. It is the joy that you feel in your heart. Do not let capital entries, do not let the forces of capitalism try to take this from you. Rise up, fight, and great question. Thank you for asking. Cheers, my friend. Let's move on to our next question. We have a question here from friend of the show, Taylor LaBreche. Taylor asks, the earliest mention of eggnog in American jurisprudence is from Phillips v. State in 1866, where George Phillips was certified with stealing eggnog, among other items, from Southwestern Railroad Company. In that case, a witness to the theft testified, the liquor was worth about $21 to $25. I was considered a watchman as well as a switchman at the time the liquor was taken. I was talking with Phillips in Harrington. I did not get any of the liquor. I was arrested before Phillips was. Phillips v. State, 34 GA 502 505 1866, emphasis Taylors. Now, $21 to $25 in 1866 roughly translates to $405 to $480 accounted for inflation, according to in2013dollars.com. Taylor's question comes in 2 parts. If you wanted to steal $400 worth of eggnog, hypothetically of course, who would you want as your watchman or switchman? And how badly do you think the witness was bummed that he didn't even get any of the eggnog that Phillips stole? Thanks, Taylor LaBreche. Taylor, wonderful question. Fantastic question. Let's talk about this. So, like, truthfully, like, if I'm thinking about, like, how I would want to steal $400 worth of eggnog, it can't just be any eggnog. I could steal a lot of eggnog, but as I discussed, you know, eggnog is what we make for ourselves. I would want to steal eggnog with a story behind it. And if I'm stealing 400 of eggnogs with a story behind it, I am stealing the eggnog from no one less than the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C., which famously used to run eggnog ragers basically around the clock year-round. I'm basically rampaging. I am launching a heist on the Smithsonian Institute to steal their heist. And here's how I would do it. So the first thing that I'm going to do is gather up Our legal team has decided that announcing your public plans to rob the Smithsonian Institute live on a Twitch stream is in fact a bad idea. Please enjoy the remainder of Talking Nog 2K23 as soon as Jeff finishes discussing this extremely bad idea. Merry Christmas and happy nogging. Our legal team has decided that announcing your public plans to rob the Smithsonian Institute live on a Twitch stream is in fact a bad idea. Please enjoy the remainder of Talking Nog 2K23 as soon as Jeff finishes discussing this extremely bad idea that has ever been known to man. I know that was an emotional journey. Thank you all for going on it with me. Cheers. Happy nogging. And if you heard shit, no you didn't. Let's talk through our next question. We've got a question here from Anonymous. Anonymous writes, I can't tell you how excited I am that someone is talking about Nog for once. Yes, he's a somewhat minor character, but there was so much they could have done with him. Worf crawled so that Nog could run. But instead we get Kayshawn? Don't get me wrong, I love Kayshawn, but my man didn't get a ship named after him. I guess some people don't have the lobes for writing a great character. Now here's the thing, Anonymous, I'm not going to I feel like Nog and Kayshawn occupy such fundamentally different roles that I don't feel like you can meaningfully compare the two, right? You look at the character of Nog and you look at the character of Kayshawn, they're not... It's a bit like comparing apples and oranges, and I think that you're probably better off, acknowledging, hey, some people are going to get great experiences with Kayshawn, and also some people are going to value the emotional arc that Nog goes on with Jake Sisko, and the journey that they go on together as people. I encourage you to free yourself from the obligation of comparing these characters who are fundamentally different. They're on different properties, different starships, different atmospheres. Live that life, free yourself. Free yourself emotionally. I hope that answers your question. Cheers. Now, it is at this moment that I must I must fulfill an obligation. You see, some of you may know that recently I don't know, it's tough to talk about. Recently this time last year, we had an altercation with my twin brother, James Stormer. And James broke the time. Short versions, James broke the time stream. He attempted to erase Eggnog from history. I gathered a team. We confronted him. My dear associate, Noggy, the Eggnog carton, shot him and banished him into the time ether. It is my personal obligation to issue a formal apology to the James Stormer estate, and I am obligated to, if I can get the video to work. It might not. We might just pass by this segment and edit it out on the back end. We're going to see how it goes. I am obligated to issue a small amount of my time to James Stormer specifically. Unfortunately, his legal team presented a very compelling case. There was very little I could do to stop it. And fuck this. Let me say what I'm about to say before I hit play on this, before I transfer us over to the James Stormer segment. Let me say what I'm about to say. Fuck this man. This man traveled through time to try and eliminate eggnog because he hates me that much. Fuck this man. This man is a piece of shit. I hate James Stormer. James Stormer sucks shit. We all know this. We all recognize this. Every year he shows up on my stream, on my Eggnog podcast, to cause drama and to throw salt in my face and to insult my beloved Eggnog. All of my homies hate James Stormer. This is a bad man. This is a man that I do not trust, I do not like, and I will hate this man for the rest of my day. With all that said, let us now waste a few minutes of our day with our court-mandated segment, Mulling It Over with James Stormer, currently in progress. Delightful. The perfect, warm, spicy,
As
heavenly
I fix
treat
the video
to kick
to
off
put
the
it where I
holiday
want it.
season. There is
There.
simply nothing better. Now then, our next letter comes to us from...
Oh, wait, there's no audio.
Right. Hi, James. I'm a big fan of Mulling It Over. Fantastic name, by the way. And I wanted to talk to you about Jeff Stormer. I think it's time you two settled your rivalry and learned to get along. Sure, eggnog gives people hives, and yes, eggnog gives other symptoms, which include runny nose and itchy, watery eyes similar to hay fever, and cramps, nausea, and vomiting. Sounds like you might actually have an... That's just what egg products do when you touch or eat that. That sounds more like an allergy, Anonymous, admittedly. But you can't blame Jeff for that. So what do you say? Can you give peace a chance? My God, Anonymous, you're right. What have I done? I've sullied my relationship with my own flesh and blood in the name of, what, winter beverage podcasting? Is that a cause worthy of destroying the closest relationship in one's life, of going to such extreme lengths to hurt someone so near and dear to you? You're right. I have been wrong. And it's time to make things right. Jeff, if you are watching this, it is time to forgive. I beseech you for an apology. I was wrong, and you were right. And I hope that we can carry forward, not as nemesis, but as brothers, going forward. Anonymous, thank you for writing in. This hearty sip of cider with a side of humble pie is toasted to you, my friend. It tastes like redemption. Okay. That wasn't exactly what I mean, in my defense, that was not necessarily what based on the time that we've known each other, not what I expected him to say. We're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on. I think. All right, next question. We got a question here from Darling Demon Eclipse. Thank you for reading my inquiry. 500 years of written history on eggnog, and yet the drink lacks a flag. Kingdoms that lasted a 20th of that long have waved flags with gold stretching across the rim, twinkling against burning sunsets as swords clashed and great storms and arrows flowed overhead. What are we going to do about this? What flag will we wave when the time comes to stand for eggnog? Like, specifically, what would the flag design look like? I've thought about this. I've thought about this a lot. Don't worry. I've thought a lot about this. And as for what I think the flag would look like, the thing that I think would encapsulate the spirit and the joy that eggnog brings to us and the wonderful feelings that encapsulates, I think it's this photo of an egg with udders crouching over a bucket by artist Tommy Siegel. I think it's going to crouch. It's going to hover over it. I think that this is the flag. This is the one. This is what we've got, everybody. Everybody give that a big old salute. That's the one. All right, everybody. Thanks for writing in. Cheers to you, my friend. Now, we have a question from the chat that I do want to get into. I have to scroll back to find it because it's been very exciting. Larix asked, speaking of corporate nog, have you tried Pegnog, Pepsi and eggnog? I have not tried Pegnog. I've seen memes about it. I've seen memes about it for years. I've thought about it. I've seen memes about it for years, and I've seen a lot of excitement around Pegnog this year. But I have not tried it. So this year we're gonna fucking change that. Let's go. Jen made a batch of non-alcoholic eggnog to try this specifically because I was pretty sure the bourbon version would kill me. So I've got a jar here of delightful non-alcoholic eggnog. For a small amount. Taster glass, small amount of non-alcoholic eggnog. Here we go, live on camera. First, taste the non-alcoholic eggnog. Lovely, lovely, wonderful, warming. It's like, the thing is, it's like, it's so, like, so much of the eggnog, you know, I've talked about the need for thickness, right? I've talked about the overwhelming desire to have, like, that thickness, and I think that thickness is still there, but, like, for a thick drink, it's also surprisingly airy. It's light. It is refreshing. I am cracking the Pepsi. Turn the label away because you ain't fucking paying me. It's Pepsi. The definition of fine. Oh, I don't like how quickly that foamed up. I don't love that. Here we go, everybody. I don't like the smell. It's got a lot of foam. It shouldn't work. The truth is, it shouldn't work. It should be. It's not good, but it's definitely better than it should be. Which I find very troubling. I find very, very troubling. The smell, distressing. The Pepsi smell comes through very prominently, which is a distressing experience. Taste, though? Great comment from the chat. I would say better or worse than the bacon. I would say worse than the bacon nog. Better than the nog bacon. Like, the thing that really works here, against all odds, is the carbonation. The thing that works really well here, I saw a comment of an eggnog egg cream, and like that is probably the closest thing to what I'm experiencing, right? Like, I would say, I mean, candidly, I think this would be better. Like, I actually think just plain seltzer might work here. I think just plain seltzer might actually accomplish this a little better. But, like, I'm not going to continue to pour because it will spill. I think a seltzer might work. I think an eggnog cream might actually hit. Because I think that, like, the weakest moments of drinking Pegnog are when you get the Pepsi taste. Now, see, Dr. Pebnog, now we're talking. That might actually work. That might actually be an unbelievable experience. Hiller with the comment, Hot Pegnog is a search I've made on AO3. Thank you for that. I think the thing that holds this back is admittedly the Pepsi flavor. I think that it actually the carbon, like a well-carbonated drink, like a well-carbonated seltzer would actually hit pretty nicely. Now, however, instead of going that route, we're going to go a very different route, and we're going to see what happens. Because I also have this shot glass. And, like, the thing that I said, like, didn't work is, like, Pepsi, if you think about it, is, like, the difference between Pepsi and Coke is fundamentally that that Coke is Coke is lemon-based. Flavor-wise, Coke is lemon-based and Pepsi is lime-based. That's why they taste different. That's really one of the main differences in their flavor profiles. It's a lemon versus lime thing. And lime and, you know, I guess I could see the argument there, but it, like, didn't quite work. The experiment that I want to try. Oh my god, this is so heavy. Is I want to see what happens when New Jersey staple Boost Cola gets involved. Boost Cola, for those that don't know, is a regional soda syrup that is available in approximately 3 towns worldwide. It is a hometown treat. I do need to briefly segue away from that to show the color differential in the Pegnog. And I'm recognizing, in fact, I may have just drank the foam. I don't know if I actually got to drink because I'm looking at the color differential. I don't think I drank this far down. Okay. See, that's see. Okay. That changes my answer a little bit. That changes my emotional response to the experience that I had there. I saw some comments in the chat, some very astute comments about how you're pretty sure that the acid is going to immediately curdle the eggnog, and I'm not sure that it didn't. Let's try some Boost Nog. Let everyone know that I am a journalist. Eggnog poured. We're gonna go... So, Boost syrup is specifically concentrated soda syrup. So we're not just gonna do a pour. We're gonna take about a teaspoon. And the reason that I think Boost might actually be different here is because Boost flavor is very, like, bitter orange. It's almost orange peel. I want to see how, like, the addition of, like, that bitter orange flavor might actually change the flavor of the eggnog. Because, like, orange and orange peel and orange zest is, like, a very common additive to an eggnog. And I want to see how this might fuck with it. Give this just twirl here. You get some very nice, I'm going to do a little bit more. You see some very nice color being added to the eggnog. I'm going to see if you can if I can capture it on camera. You can see, get it right up to the camera there, some very nice, like, brown kind of color infusing into this eggnog. I think beginning syrup is gonna be a very big difference. That is the correct assessment. Pegnog foam is pretty actually delicious, and I think an eggnog egg cream might actually be wonderful. The actual Pepsi, the actual Pegnog itself, not great. Let's see how Boostnog fares. Smells much better. Huh. I'm giving it a pass. I'm saying the flavor experience of Boost Nog, really delightful on the front end. The front end is kind of exactly what I would expect. You get that kind of, you know, almost orange peeliness added to the vanilla, almost as if you had taken some orange zest and sprinkled it into an eggnog. That part, magnificent. The problem is you get this very bitter aftertaste that, like, kind of ruins the whole thing. The heart of it, you know, the immediate response, great. Lingering aftertaste really kind of drops the experience down, and if there's a way to kind of mitigate that aftertaste, I'd probably be okay with it. Y'all, this is my favorite stream of the year. I see a comment in the chat about eggnog cheese. I've had eggnog cheese. They made Aldi made an eggnog goat cheese last year. I don't remember if I ate it on camera or maybe it was 2021, but I've had eggnog goat cheese. It was pretty solid. The problem was that, like, I think an eggnog cheddar would probably be better than eggnog goat cheese, because eggnog goat cheese had such a strong tart flavor that it created, like, there was a contrast. There was it didn't blend. I guess is what I would say, is it didn't blend. Eggnog goat cheese did not blend in the way that you would want it to blend. It wasn't like you were eating cheese and then also tasting delightful eggnog. It was like there were a very clear delineation of, like, I am tasting goat cheese. I am tasting eggnog spice. It was a letdown. And I think that, like, a mild cheddar, where, like, you would want that flavor to maybe be overpowered a little bit. I think maybe a mild cream cheese. I'm seeing Liz in the chat with a mild cream cheese might actually work really nicely. I think goat cheese flavor was too distinct. You would want something where the flavor is going to take a back seat. Lot of diversions, lot of winding roads this year. Thank you all for accompanying on the journey. I'm making sure I don't have to drink any other concoctions from my concoctions table. We got a couple more questions. We've got some listener photos to look at. We've got a couple listener photos to enjoy. Sorry, I got distracted thinking about cream cheeses, and let me, we've got some. Our next question here comes from friend of the show, comes back to us from Jacqueline Swampert. Have you tried any of Eggnog's ancestors and cousins, such as posset or the egg flip, etc.? I have tried a few of the alternative eggnog varietals. As I mentioned, eggnogification is a thing that I think is happening again and again throughout history. But I think, like, they're pretty good. I think they're different drinks. I love a coquito. I will say that. A coquito is a top-tier beverage. I lost our listener photos, so that's a thing. We got a question in the chat. How would Gritty make his nog? Gritty's eggnog would be rancid, but in an affectionate kind of way. Gritty's eggnog obviously would be Philly local. We're probably talking about a bottom shelf Philly alcohol. Probably, like, Gritty in particular is probably mixing alcohol in a way that like is probably upsetting. Probably doing a mix. Probably like I would argue, Gritty is probably putting a Long Island iced tea into his eggnog. Right? He's probably using stateside vodka. He's probably using Joaquin's rum. He's probably using Heaven Hill bourbon. He's probably putting all of these things into a blender together. And then as far as the cream goes, as Liz points out, he's getting it there from this egg monster with the big udder as crouching over a bucket. I think that he's really going to make this bizarre Long Island iced tea eggnog that will make you riot in the streets. You're going to take a sip of it and launch a full-scale riot, but it will be the best night of your life. The Fanatic's eggnog, I have to assume... I mean, the Fanatic, I think, is probably using a very spiced rum. He's a playful guy. He's a trickster and a jokester. He's having a lot of fun with it. I think he's probably, like, topping it with extra whipped cream. You know, he's folding in the whipped cream like you're traditionally supposed to, but he's also doing extra whipped cream on top and just making a really joyful experience. Let's talk about our final question. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I've been talking for a long time and drinking a lot of cream. Can we get some hydrates in the chat? That's good. We love water. We love water here, folks. Water, it's good. I have here a very difficult question from Jacqueline Swampert that I wanted to end the night on. And that is there any path forward for eggnog untied from empire and colonialism, from its popularity among British aristocrats to its increasing presence in Americas, primarily due to the transatlantic slave trade, and it being one of the signature drinks served to guests by George Washington? Some may claim that eggnog is inherently imperialistic. Might there be another way forward, or should we principled leftists switch to another delicious dairy-based beverage like lassi? I like mango lassi myself, but can respect all types and flavors. Here's my thought. I've put a lot of thought into this question since we received it today. I think it's a valid concern for us to face. We should be interrogating the things in our lives. We should be interrogating how we live in ways that aligns with our values and with a way that looks out for one another. To Liz's point, I think food is a cultural exchange. And to me personally, like, a thing is, you know, going back to the theme of today's experience, whether it be concocting your own pegnog to, you know, doctoring your beverages, enjoying these things, like, a lot of this is taking what we have, right? This is one of the reasons why I think homemade eggnog is a particularly special experience. It's taking what we have, the ingredients that we have, and it is making something and sharing it together. And that to me is like that's it. That's everything. That is the social exchange. That is the heart of good, strong leftism. Is we are looking out for each other with the things that we have, and we are taking care of one another to ensure that we have what we need, and we are looking out for one another. To take something that you own, and furthermore, to wrest it from the arms of the aristocratic elite, as we did with eggnog, where it has become a drink of the common person. That's a powerful thing, and then to share it around as we do with eggnog every year, there is a power in that, and there is a radicalism in that, and there is a wonder in that, and you know, I think if we are to imagine a way forward that is beautiful and wonderful, like, it is to imagine a world where we look at eggnog as something for us rather than for purchase and for the enriching of a select few. I think that it is, you know. So I think the answer is, like, the way that I would imagine a way forward is to serve a bowl of eggnog at your next union organizing meeting. Unionize your workplace. Now, I'm going to go to an intro screen because I'll be back in 30 seconds. Everybody chill. Now, that said, I did grab a mango lassi from my favorite lassi place today, and I do want to talk about how delightful a good mango lassi is. This is from Mood Cafe in West Philadelphia on Baltimore Avenue. I believe we're in pound 46 in Baltimore. Maybe 45th, but this is a delightful mango lassi from the Mood Cafe in West Philadelphia on Baltimore Avenue. One of my favorite spots in the city. Their lassis are impeccable. Their chaat is it's some of the best I've ever had. It is John, thank you. 45th in Baltimore. Mood Cafe, the highest recommendation I could possibly give. Oh my fucking god. It's so good. I love a good lassi. I love the yogurt. I love the mango. Just a magical experience. It is the depth of experiences you can have. I have wanted to try for years and years a good salty lassi, and I have not been able to obtain one. But a good mango lassi, magical. Good variety of flavors, you know, like any kind of fruit that you can mix in. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. It makes my whole day. Good lassi is not at all meaty or creamy. It's fruity, it's light, it's chilled, it's magnificent. I think you could make an eggnog lassi. I think that those flavors would blend really nicely together. Just put in some... I probably wouldn't put in egg, but rather like the cinnamon. I think if you were to use some of the eggnog spice into a lassi, some cinnamon, some nutmeg, some clove, I think you would create a really wonderful beverage. It might not taste exactly like an eggnog, but it would really kick it into a high gear, like really just elevate the entire experience. It would delight. Now, to the point about like the heart of sharing eggnog and sharing things together, I found the listener photos that I wanted to look at. And I received moments before this call, and I will not be sharing them. This is for me talking about a thing that I will not be sharing. The heart of eggnog, to me, the reason that I do this podcast is to share a silly thing with the people that I love. And receiving 5 photos of my family members in Christmas outfits, drinking eggnog, watching this stream. That, to me, is why this is a thing. And it is, to me, the heart of eggnog. It is, to me, the heart of the holiday season. It is... We do this silly thing, and we make this objectively silly beverage. We make this objectively silly beverage, and we share it with the people that we love, and we share photos of it. And once a year, I come onto this microphone, and I talk about this silly drink for an hour. And it is a special experience. It is an experience. It is an opportunity to tell the people in my life that I love them. It is a way for us all to enjoy this one little strange tradition that's a little bit sweet. And yes, a little meaty, and a little buttery, and a little creamy. But, like... if we are to imagine a better future, and I think that is one of the most important things that we can do, because we cannot take action without imagining that better future. It is a future where we take care of the people that we love, and we show them that we love them, and we carry that support forward. It is an incredibly important thing to me. Mom, Dad, Scott, and Aunt Kathy, I love you. And... I am glad that we are all here together, I guess is what I would say. I'm going to get out of this function so I can get back to just the chat. Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to get it by. Here we go. And with all of that said, my friends. My glass is getting a little... low. Oh, it was way higher than it usually is when I do that bit. My glass is a little low. The fire's burning a little quiet. And I think it is time to say good night. Happy holidays. Happy nogging. And until we talk again next year, Cheers, my friends.